hoping you can do the gig solo, but if not, I'll be glad to stay.
Good evening, race fans. My name is Philip Fitzsimmons, presenting round 6 of the Rubbins Racing Next Gen Series. We're joined in the booth by James East today. And of course, as always, sponsored by Next Level Racing and Bookkicker. Say hi, James.
Hello, Finley. Hello, fans. Good to be back up in the booth for the Rubbins Racing Next Gen Cup Series. Looking forward to seeing what the drivers can do. Just pushed out an update here on iRacing for Week 13 shenanigans. So new setups, some new damage models in these Next Gen Cup cars, and I think it's going to be interesting if there's no glitches or issues out on track for our drivers.
Yeah, these Next Gen cars have been tweaked a lot. Most notably, of course, as you said, the new damage model. Makes it better for us, because obviously bigger crashes and bigger and better entertainment as always. But yeah, before we jump in, presented by Team Goon Squad, 1080p, 60 frames a second, 1 hour long races, no fast repairs, great racers with great attitudes. We jump into qualifying now, as we follow along with Greg Mitchell. We follow him for his flying lap here today. At the moment he is on the provisional pole position. He did a top practice as well, around about 400th of a second. He'll be trying to replicate that coming into the end of this qualifying
Mitchell
session.
With a 30.33, just barely faster than Dominic DeLeo was here in qualifying as well. Now DeLeo got down to a 30.34. Most of the field seems to be hovering around that 30.5, 30.6 mark as far as lap times go. So at the moment, I think things are going to be pretty interesting, and it should be a good indicator of how tonight's going to go for these drivers.
Yeah, not only with the qualifying though, something else I'd also like to mention. A lot of the ties with the points in the driver standings at the moment. Right at the top of the table between Jared Reed and Nick Cleo. And Jared Reed at the top, tying with 115 points here tonight. Being the midpoint of the season as well. Both drivers will be looking to try and get that edge on the other driver and get that lead into the second half of the season. Of course, being both on 115 points halfway through the season. Definitely a lot of drama so far. What do you think of that? What do you think will flourish at that?
Man, it's tough to tell, especially I'm really anxious about it being week 13. I want to say in the past I've ran some series, not in the Next Gen Cup cars, but another series that I ran myself on week 13 and the street stocks. And I vividly remember iRacing having some issues with that car where the steering wheel was sticking out of the roof over the duration of their run. Now, to their credit, the update tonight seems a lot cleaner, a lot more thought out, and maybe less problem-stricken. So I'm going to be very, very interested to see how this works out here today. But I'm very worried. I'm very apprehensive that there's going to be week 13 shenanigans that throw a wrench in things.
We all hope we don't see him, but does create good entertainment for sure. For watching, Carter Lynn's now going down pit road. He's the last man on track at the moment, so it looks like a provisional pole position sitter will be Greg Mitchell, followed by Dominic DeLeo and Mathis Jr., your top three. We'll be going through the grid in just a short moment here. Also wait for qualifying to wrap up. Going into the race, have you got any prediction in terms of cautions, or you think it will go greener the whole way?
It's a tough one. New update, drivers coming out, new setups, but it is a fairly big track here at Nashville Super Speedway. I'm going to go with 3 cautions. It's going to be my professional guess here tonight. Finley, I'm thinking we're going to have just the right amount to keep it interesting, but not too many out there.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. However, we'll jump into the grid for tonight's race here today. So, on your pole position is Greg Mitchell in the number 2 machine, followed by Dominic DeLeo. Robert Mathis Jr., followed by Butch Taylor. Carter Lins on your 5th place. And Matt Kleeman, P6. Followed by Derek Grigsby. Followed by Nick Leo, Jared Reed, Garrett Hall, P10. Kevin Haas, and then Stephen Gibson, P12. Followed by Jared Reed. Or, as you know, followed by Aaron Sayer in P13, followed by Tim Johnson, David Reed, Jake Vanoski, P16, and Nick Vasquez rounding out your top 17 drivers here tonight at Nashville Super Speedway. As we're now looking at our drivers on pit road, getting ready to get out onto track.
Yeah, focusing the camera over on Greg Mitchell on that number 2 machine, qualifying in the top spot. As you said, he was the fastest driver in practice in that Chevrolet as well. So, gonna see what he can do out here tonight. He's got 16 other drivers that are itching for a win right behind him, though. And at the end of the day, it's anybody's guess. Any top 5, top 6, it could be any one of these drivers bringing home the top spot here tonight. Getting ready to grid them up. And let's get ready to go racing here at the RROL.
It's now rolling out of pit road as well. Before we begin this race, I'd also like to mention that both our championship leaders at the moment are both dropped down in P8 and P9. Nick Leo, as it stands, will be able to edge Jared Reed just that little bit. Once again, they're P8 and P9. So, Jared Reed will be starting on the row ahead of Nick Leo.
Yeah, a lot of these guys looking for to add on to their win list for the series so far. And I mean, Jared Reed, he's been fast all season long. Leo's been fast. DeLeo's obviously been quick as well. Excuse me, I got a wavy voice here tonight. So I'm interested to see. I mean, there's so many variables coming into tonight on how this is going to pan out. But I'm excited to see what Greg Mitchell and that number 2 monster-backed Camaro can do here this evening.
Yeah, Greg Mitchell's looking really strong this weekend. Maybe to throw a curveball in and get those all-important points in for the championships. We're only halfway through. Drivers can turn around, and some drivers can have a nightmare, and it can definitely shake up the points. But as the safety car goes down pit road, and the green flag flies here at Nashville Super Speedway. Greg Mitchell on the inside getting a good start, followed by Dominic DeLeo on the outside line, also getting a good start though. They're both too wide going into turn 1, followed by Robert Mathis Jr. in 3rd place, splitting the lanes.
Yeah, Mitchell, DeLeo side by side. Mathis using that big hole in the air in front of him to try to work his way through. But it looks like already these top 3 drivers, top 2 drivers, I should say, Greg Mitchell, Dominic DeLeo pulling away. But panning it back to Butch Taylor. He's got his hands full with Derek Grigsby. And the battle for 4th, Taylor trying to close that quarter of a second gap to Carter Lins. Lins tucked in behind Mathis. Meanwhile, up front, looks like it could be some side-by-side action. Dominic DeLeo has taken over the spot from Greg Mitchell. And we've got a drag race early on for the race lead here in Nashville.
As it looks like Greg Mitchell on the outside line does choose to back out of it. He maybe thinks on that high line, or taking too wide the whole way. Maybe a bit too burning on the tyres as well. 110 degrees here tonight, so it's definitely on the hotter side. That also brings with the hotter tyre temperatures a little bit harder to manage those tyres. And of course easier for the cars to break loose as well. So he definitely doesn't want to be pushing on those tyres, especially the cold ones so early on in this race. So he decides to sit back behind.
Finley, I've got to ask, with these shorter races we normally have seen here at the Rubbins Racing Online Series, do you think tire wear is going to be as much of a factor here in Nashville? From my understanding, a concrete raceway has a little bit different tire wear than some of the big asphalt tracks these drivers normally run at. Not quite. I guess it's technically super speedway. I think it's 2 miles here tonight. Do you think tire wear is going to really be a factor for these guys?
I think obviously with a pit stop as well, drivers might want to maybe conserve a little bit, because obviously it may not be as much of a factor, but I think it will definitely play a little bit of a factor later on into the stint, depending on how well the tyres or how well the drivers have managed them. because, you know, it can always be, you know, of course you can always abuse your tyres, but I think drivers will definitely still have to look after their tyres, but maybe they won't drop off as quickly.
Now, I'm also interested to see as well, we're checking in on Butch Taylor. He's got Derek Grigsby, Matt Kleeman, Garrett Hall behind as well. Bit of a 3-car pack from about 5th place back. I'm a little surprised at how spread out the field is getting as we go back to Jared Reed, kind of in the thick of it here, trying to get around Garrett Hall's number 13 machine as they're already using all that track limit. And that may allow Nick Leo, Steven Gibson running 10th and 11th a chance to move a little bit further forward. Now, I've got to say something, I'm a little bit surprised to see Jared Reed and Nick Leo this far back in the 5 and the 69. Both drivers have been so extremely quick so far this season, and a little uncharacteristic to see them right around the top 10.
Yeah, I think maybe these new updates as well may have thrown a little bit of a curveball in. It definitely is surprising seeing them so far back, and also they haven't moved up any positions from when they began. Jared Reed and Nick Leo both pretty much staying as they were. Jared Reed edging out in front at the moment. However, there's still a long race to go, but usually by this point these drivers are made up 3 or 4 positions. You know, it's not very characteristic of them to still be behind the pack at this stage in the race.
Yeah, especially for Jared Reed, that's the biggest worry, not maybe concern I have, but talking point, I guess, is a good way to describe it. What is Reed and that number 5 Ford Mustang maybe either waiting on or planning out here in the future? He stayed linked up with Garrett Hall. Hall's up 2 spots so far in number 13 machine, but I guess the other point here as well, can they even make big moves here in Nashville? Pushed out a new update. Drivers were talking about changes in the setups, but what they did not talk about before tonight's broadcast is how the car is feeling and how it handles in pack racing. So this might be it for some of the drivers, kind of reminiscent when the Next Gen Cup cars first came out on the iRacing service. It was extremely tough to make any big moves at super speedways, and I'm almost wondering if we're seeing more of that here tonight.
Yeah, the drivers already before really turn 3 on the first lap. They've already gone single file. We haven't seen a lot of moves where drivers are going side by side, and if it is, it would only be for a couple corners. So it looks like definitely the way to go is to just slot behind and just wait for something to happen in front of you.
Now, talking about drivers that haven't made any big moves, to let our fans kind of know at home how slow tempo this race is compared to other previous rounds of the season. Right now, your hard chargers, I believe, are going to be Garrett Hall in 8th and Jake Vanoski in 14th. Those drivers have only gained 2 spots so far here tonight, as now Derek Grigsby, it looks like he's going to try and make a move. No, I think that's Matt Kleeman, Garrett Hall going side by side. Yes, it is in the battle for 7th, but not a lot of moves being made here as Garrett Hall tries to make it 3 positions gain.
Yeah, you could just see Jared Reed there, just poking his nose in between, maybe thinking about taking it through wide, but thought better of it. But now Jared Reed is side by side with Matt Kleeman. Will he be able to get that move stick and put 1 car between him and his championship rival? He looks like he's been able to edge him. Nick Leo, though, also on the inside.
Yeah, I don't think Leo's going to try or he's going to try everything he can to avoid losing that number 5 machine, Jared Reed. Those, if I had a bet, if things continue how they are, those are going to be the 2 cars we see battling for the championship later on this season. So right now, Leo in the 69, staying tucked in nice and tidy behind the 5 of Jared Reed, and they're going to continue trying to slowly charge forward here.
Yeah, very slowly but surely. We are still on lap 12 of 80, so we've still got a very long way of this race to go, and still at least another pit stop. So they can definitely use that pit stop strategy, maybe to their advantage later on in the race. But it looks like no. Nick Leo has just got past Jared Reed.
Leo making the move up for 8th. Exactly where he started. Jared Reed 9th, exactly where he started. So going to be interesting here. Now, I do wonder how much the tire wear is a factor or isn't a factor, as they are pretty linked up nose to tail, but it looks like Nick Leo getting ready to challenge Garrett Hall. As they're side by side, looks like Leo's taking over the 7th place spot, and now it's going to be Jared Reed playing the chase car, tucked in behind the jewel back 69.
Yeah, these drivers are now showing their characteristics. They're now making their way up the field. Once again, slowly but surely, but they are making up those positions now. For now, though, there is Garrett Hall between our championship rivals at the moment. Nick Leo being the car in front. He's now going to go with Butch Taylor down the inside.
Yeah, this is some side-by-side action we love to see here today. Oh, how's this going to pan out? I mean, all these guys looking for their career best finishes. There's contact between Hall and Jared Reed, the slightest of bump between the 13 and the 5. So that may have been a wake-up call for Jared Reed saying, all right, we got to get going, because behind me, Garrett Hall is showing a little bit of aggressiveness.
Yeah, as you say that, he's definitely trying to get past Butch Taylor as quick as he can to put a car between them. He wants to not have to worry about the cars behind him and just worry about working his way up, because the last thing you would want, really, is when you're trying to make your way up the pack and you've got a guy trying to get you behind.
Yeah, I mean, if that's not a good heads up that it's time to get things going, I don't rightly know what is. As we pan back to Nick Leo, continue the charge to the field. He's made the move on Derek Grigsby's number 1 machine. And now Jared Reed playing a game of catch-up. And if you're just tuning in, it's still Dominic DeLeo, Greg Mitchell, Robert Mathis, your top 3. As behind, we got a little bit of 3-wide action. That's Stephen Gibson, Garrett Hall, and Kevin Haas. Now it's going to be Butch Taylor join the fray as well. And I think we're starting to see some mistakes here, Finley. Drivers either fighting the tire wear, or maybe a bit of attrition, or starting to tag the wall or tag each other, and that's going to rapidly make things exciting as they're hitting speeds of just shy of 180 miles an hour here this evening.
Yeah, coming out of 4 as well. I'm not sure if you missed, James, but Jared Reed did creep up into that wall there, stretching out that gap to Derek Grigsby in front, which is not what he wants. He's starting to lose touch of Nick Leo in front. He's already stretched that gap so far already.
Yeah, I think Reed's got a long night ahead of him. Now, if we pan back to Garrett Hall, he's still involved in a battle with Stephen Gibson in 8th. And it also looks like Haas trying to get up there as well in the number 3 machine. Very impressed with all the side-by-side racing we've seen here at Nashville. Not necessarily a track I thought that would bode well, and we've got passes all around the track. We've got Nick Leo, who's worked that number 69 all the way up into 4th. We've got Hall, Gibson, and Haas still continuing a 3-car battle for 8th. And oh, as the tire wear starts to become a factor, I'm not sure how this is going to shape out. At this point, most drivers are over 1 second slower than their fastest lap of the race. For example, Dominic DeLeo, your race leader, fastest lap for him was a 30.5. Last time by, we saw the number 22 click off a 31.73. So tire wear may be becoming a factor after all. We're starting to hear that outside wall get ground into a little bit more, Finley.
Yeah, Stephen Gibson also touching the wall there and falling back and giving the position to Kevin Haas in front of him. So definitely tire wear and a little bit of mistakes are creeping in, as it looks like David Reed now is down the inside of Stephen Gibson coming out of turn 2. Can't quite make the move stick. Stephen Gibson stays ahead.
Yeah, looking at it, Stephen Gibson holding on to it in the 53 machine. Now, to his credit, he's been able to work that Chevrolet up 2 spots from where he started, wants to grab a few more, and David Reed really on it here tonight. As I'm trying to see who was that falling down the standings. Was that Aaron Sayer we just saw dropping down?
Yeah, I believe it was Sayer there in the 42 Chevrolet. You can see he's just running a little bit high now. I'm not sure if he's maybe overheated his tyres or worn them a little bit too much early on in the stint, and everyone else has been a little bit kinder and eased them in just a little bit more, and able to eke that little bit more pace from them. As I say that though, he's getting right back onto the bumper as Aaron Sayer, or excuse me, Stephen Gibson now. He's side by side. Stephen Gibson is side by side with Garrett Hall. Yeah, Stephen Gibson is side by side with Garrett Hall now.
Yeah, got it. I mean, Aaron Sayers probably got front row seats here in that 42 machine. And then Gibson and Hall punching a massive hole through the air. I'm curious to see if Sayers going to maybe try and make something happen, or as we saw earlier, he's fighting that tire management a little bit. He might just tuck in behind these guys and enjoy the show, and I was wrong. 3 wide coming out of 4. Oh, it's going to be close. Aaron Sayers on the inside line. Hall was in the middle, and Gibson up high, but almost like a little bit of contact was made there, Finley.
Yeah, there's a little bit of contact there. It looks like with the new damage model, a lot of the drivers are a little bit scared to get that contact. They're definitely being a lot more careful around other drivers, because they really don't want that damage.
Yeah, For the fans tuning in here for the first time, what we mean by that is the cars are going to act a little bit more realistically whenever they find themselves impacting something unforgiving, maybe a good way to put that. So be it a wall of cars, hot dog stand, doesn't matter. If you hit it, you're going to start to see wheels explode, bodywork crumple, and a very quick way to end your night. And no fast repairs here for the Rubbins Racin Next Gen Cup Series. If you find yourself with a wadded up race car, you got to count on the virtual crew to fix it. Right now, the virtual crew of Garrett Hall has got to be cheered. That number 13 machine refuses to yield. Oh, what a great camera angle from Aaron Sayer in the 42, watching the battle in front unfold.
Yeah, just seeing from the onboard, Aaron Sayer does have that front row seat now, as he looks like he's going to be going down the inside. Well, has a little bit of a look there on Stephen Gibson. Doesn't quite make it stick. But right now he is too wide with him. Garrett Hall out in front. But it looks like Sayer is able to edge that gap, as now in front of Stephen Gibson.
Yeah, what a great shot. I mean, that was Gibson and Hall side by side. Stephen Gibson not having a bad night in the 53 machine either. He's got to enjoy the solid racecraft, and got to give Sayer the credit there. Threw it up the inside line, and what I found interesting as well was listening to him burp the throttle a little bit in the 42 machine, not holding it wide open, and maybe a little apprehensive on when he was going to start sending it up the inside line. But right now, sending it is what he's doing. It's the 42 machine of Stephen Gibson. Excuse me, no, Aaron Sayer up 3 spots.
Yeah, he's now at 3 spots. He's now, or as I say that, no, he's not our hardest charger. David Reed, all the way up in P7, is our hardest charger at the moment, up 8 spots from where he started, up in P7 now in the number 52 Chevrolet. He's currently making up those places really quickly. He's now challenging the 3 of Kevin Haas.
Enough. We've also got Jared Reed, the youngest of the Reed family, starting to put the pressure on the 52. So gotta love seeing the family rivalry out here on a Tuesday night. I think Robert Mathis knows that Kevin Haas knows he's got pressure from behind, as here comes David Reed up the inside line of the Chevrolet. Let's see if Jared tries to follow. Jared hops down the inside line, goes back up high, trying to use that draft for as long as he can, because Jared knows Nick Leo looks to be getting a whole lot further ahead. I think I showed Nick Leo's 2 seconds up over the number 5 of Jared Reed, as Leo continues a 3rd place charge.
Yeah, Nick Leo now in the 69. He's got a little bit of clean air around him, but he's been able to work that gap, and now he can save those tyres a little bit more and help him out in the later run. Now on lap 29 of 80, slowly approaching the halfway point. It looks like he has the advantage at the moment.
Yeah, Leo's in a good spot here. He's got clean air in front and behind. I do believe it was 5.5 seconds ahead of him and about 2 seconds behind him, so no worries there. Meanwhile, Jared Reed has everything but clean air. Still battling with Haas's number 3 Chevrolet. David Reed has worked his way up to 6, now up 9 spots. And the young driver of the number 5 is going to keep pushing forward here and see what he can do.
Yeah, Jared Reed is now, I don't know if desperation started to creep in for him, because he knows that gap is extending, and the longer he stays behind these drivers, the more he's going to be burning up his tyres trying. So really he needs to make one of these moves work before it starts becoming the point where he just can't make any more moves because he hasn't got any tyres left. So at the moment this is not helping him at all, and he wants to get out of this situation as quickly as possible.
Now, Bailey, here's a question for you. Do you think the drivers are going to come down right at the halfway mark? Are we going to see anybody go for an undercut, or do you think anybody's going to stretch it out a little bit longer if they can?
Obviously, with the pace difference, an undercut would be effective. However, we know how quickly those tyres drop off. So we know how quickly, or like the advantage of the drivers doing the overcut would have, because then that would add the fresh tyres for the rest of the stint. So it's whether you treasure the track position, but as it looks at the moment, you can make a couple moves. So maybe I think having the fresh tyres and going for the longer run may be the better choice here. But it depends on where you are in situations on track. If you've got clean air in front of you, there's not really, or you need to gain loads of gap, or you need to close that gap, then maybe the undercut may be the choice for you. But if you're in these tight battles here, like we're seeing with the Reed family and Kevin Haas, I think the best choice would definitely be to go as long as possible on those tyres.
Well, speaking of pit stops, Aaron Sayer going to be one of the first drivers down pit road for his green flag stop on lap. He came in on lap 32, I believe. Now, I'm almost wondering if Jared Reed, no, Kevin Haas Oh, it was a blink. I thought he came down pit road, just a big blink out of the number 3 machine. I'm almost wondering if Jared Reed may come down pit road if he has the pace to he feels like he can run faster than David Reed, Kevin Haas going side by side in front of him, but maybe getting frustrated, not able to do anything with the tires that are currently left. But I mean, lap 32, 33, that is a pretty substantial undercut. I was thinking, 2 or 3 laps, you'll see somebody come in early, but 7 laps for Aaron Sayer at the halfway mark. That is quite the undercut.
Yeah, he'll definitely have that pace to begin with. However, they will drop off very, very quickly, and the rest of the drivers will have the pace advantage, or should do have the tyre advantage later on in this race. But definitely, I think Jared Reed would definitely be thinking about the undercut here, because he just can't seem to get past the 2 cars in front of him. The only way he's going to get past is if he plays alternate strategy, and I think playing the undercut and getting ahead as early as possible will be the best option. He won't want to pit too early though. He may want to pit around about the halfway mark or just after it, because he wants to pit before the drivers in front. But then, the other drivers will be thinking the same thing, They want to make sure they cover off that undercut, and he doesn't take the track position. So it's definitely a bit of a mind game here. What do you think the other driver is going to do? Because you don't want to leave it too early, but also you don't want to leave it too late that they pit first.
Leo also coming down pit road for a green flag stop, and this is one of my favorite things as a broadcaster and a racer, those long green flag runs that lets these guys kind of develop a strategy live at 170 miles an hour, because most of the time they'll come in here tonight with a plan, working with their teammates and trying to get something established. But as we all know, once the visors go down, everybody gets focused on racing. It's kind of anybody's guess on how that strategy will play out, if it does play out, as it's been several laps we've been watching this battle for 5th. David Reed, Jared Reed, Kevin Haas putting on a show. Probably the closest battle we have out on track right now.
Yeah, a little bit of an update though. Nick Clear has made his way all the way up into 2nd place now, 6 spots from where he began from P8 here tonight. So it looks like that's Carter Lynn's going down to the pit road now. So other drivers starting to take the plunge now. So it's definitely Jared Reed's time. He's managed to get past Kevin Haas. So maybe now he might be able to get past his brother, David Reed. But if you can't get past, you'll definitely play that undercut. No, it's fine. Don't worry.
I'll say, the Reed family making moves here. David Reed's up 11 spots. Jared Reed up 4. And you got to give Haas the credit as well, up 5 spots. Number 3 machine. Carter Lynn's down pit road for his one scheduled green flag stop. And the fans will hear me say that several times throughout the broadcast. Scheduled stop. The planned stop. But there's plenty of time here, and still a lot of aggressive racing where we could see a caution. Now, I'm hoping that doesn't happen, because to get a long green flag run the first time and what feels like to these drivers a basically new car for them would be absolutely outstanding. And keep an eye on this as well, Finley. It looks like David Reed, Jared Reed, Kevin Haas running 4th, 5th, 6th. It looks like they were briefly closing the gap to Robert Mathis, as it currently sits about a second ahead of this 3-car pack. Yeah,
it looks like Robert Mathis is starting to drop back just a little bit for Nick Leo. Nick Leo does have a really good pace advantage at the moment over the people behind him, but he isn't really closing to Captain Mitchell at the moment. So maybe he's thinking about the long run here and thinking about his tyres, as the Reed family are now side by side. Jared Reed on the outside in the 5 machine. He's pushing those tyres on the outside, using everything he's got left to get past. He's finally got the position. Jared Reed now up into P4. That's Mathis in front of him now. Will he be able to try and make the move, or will he try and pit early to cover off the undercut and lose a track position once again to the 5203?
Yeah, Derek Grigsby coming down pit road. I think Jared Reed's smart here. He's at the halfway mark. At this point, he can afford to come down pit road really whenever he wants and feel relatively comfortable he'll be able to make it till the end on fuel. So at the end of the fuel run, saying, all right, we've got a little bit of tire left in reserve. Let's use up all the Goodyears, hammer down for a few laps and see what we can do. But I think Robert Mathis doing a good job, still maintaining a little bit over a second gap as he sits in 3rd, as now Garrett Hall comes down pit road for his 1 stop. And I'm interested to see how things are going to shape up after the green flag stops.
Yeah, definitely, with the undercut and overcut also being, well, the undercut especially being so powerful for getting that track position, we'll definitely see some changes in the order for sure. Some of the drivers choosing to come down pit road now, as it looks like our leader Greg Mitchell's down to pit road now.
Yeah, Mitchell down pit road. Nick Leo stays out, so that's going to move everybody up a spot. And Nick Leo's going to enjoy. Now, I don't know where it's at. I swear I just heard somebody tagging the wall, but I didn't get eyes on. Not sure where that was. I don't see anything on the crash report of our software, and not seeing anybody dropping too many positions, but I was very mindful. I swear I heard asphalt or a wall against bodywork there as more drivers coming down pit road. Kevin Haas down pit road. So right now it's Leo, Mathis, Jared Reed, and David Reed. Your top 4 still staying out. Looks like about 10 drivers, no less, as Haas and Johnson come down pit road. So I think we're at the tail end of the fuel run here, Finley.
Yeah, we're definitely the tail end now. The drivers obviously passed the halfway point. They made it this far on tyres and Seymour right, so they know they'll be able to make it to the end. But also with Kevin Haas pitting behind, Jared Reed knows he can't afford to lose that track position. So he's maybe seen that and maybe thinking about reacting to it. But it looks like he's playing the alternate strategy game. So he's not trying to cover off the undercut, but then going for the overcut for the stronger tyres and maybe going for that push near to the end of the stint. So it looks like Matt Cleveland's also gone down pit road.
Yeah, Cleveland, the number 19 machine. Looks like it's going to be about 7 drivers. No, 6 drivers opting to stay out a little while longer. Dominic DeLeo in the number 22 machine, currently 6th on track. And I'm going to interrupt myself as Nick Leo, your race leader, your most recent race leader, comes down pit road. That's going to make Robert Mathis your leader as he crosses the line. So it's going to be Mathis, Jared Reed, David Reed, your top 3. Nick Leo, Jake Fanoski down pit road. And I believe it's just the top 3 as well as Butch Taylor on the 33 who are still staying out here. As I say that, Taylor also coming down pit road. So your top 3 drivers paid for the fuel and they're going to use all the fuel. How long can they go? 45 laps wide open so far here tonight.
Yeah, I think they're trying to play the tyre game. They definitely want the fresher tyres later on in the stint. They may lose a little bit of track position now, but they will have those tyres to make up the positions, and they will have, like, the longer they stretch this, the more pace advantage they'll have. So really they want to stretch this as long as they can to the end of the fuel run. But they've also got to think about the final drop off of the tyres. It'll get to a point where it's so slow it's just not worth being on those tyres anymore. So this is where the drivers have got to think, when is the right time to pit? When is that cut-off point?
Yeah, this is going to be very, very interesting as Mathis holds about a 6th, 7th, 10th. We're head back to, I believe that was Carter Lenz. We just panned the camera angle to. And I think, I can't quite tell, Finley, is that traffic all around Lenz? I mean, we've got Robert Mathis on the lead lap, and I'm not quite sure how this pans out. There's Lenz in the number 4. Was that the 29 I saw next to him?
Yeah, Carter Lenz is now back onto the lead lap, making his lap back on our leader at the moment, Robert Mathis, meaning that you can just see the pace advantage he had. So even though he wasn't running right at the front of the pack, with those fresher tyres, he's able to push that a little bit harder and get that lap back now as he's trying to build as much of a gap as he can as a top 3 and maybe looking to go down pit road sometime soon. Surely they haven't got much fuel left.
And speaking of the race leader, it's gotten really tight. 4.30 hundredths of a second between Jared Reed and Robert Mathis. As Reed looks up the inside line of your race leader, taking it over. So Reed, oh no, I take it back. It's still going to be Mathis at the line by about 5 hundredths of a second, but Reed was so close to leading a lap here as he sends it up the inside line. It looks like he's going to make that pass nice and clean, unless Robert Mathis absolutely rips the top line. But no, it's going to be Jared Reed, David Reed taking over the top 2 from Robert Mathis Jr., who now goes back to 3rd. But my question is, so yes, now Jared's got the lap led, but how much time is he maybe leaving on the table when he could have taken fresh tires 9-10 laps ago, as pretty much the rest of the field came down? Yeah,
we can just see though Derek Grigsby also making his way up in the number 1 machine. You can just see him now behind the number 52, moving to the outside line now. He's also trying to get his lap back. So especially with all these drivers going to get that lap back now, this may disrupt the current leaders and maybe slow them down a little bit, which is not what they want. So
yeah,
maybe
this is the danger zone, Finley. You've got drivers on mixed tire sets combined with the race leader. A lot of drivers trying to get the lap back from Jared Reed and David Reed and becoming a bit of a meat grinder. as we check in on Robert Mathis and then panning back up front to Jared Reed. Oh, this is going to get busy behind your race leader.
Yeah, it's definitely getting busy. The drivers who pitted for fresh tyres early on in the race are now trying to make their way back through, really kind of pushing their way through. They really want to make sure they're not losing any time on those fresh tyres. They want to use as much of the advantage as they can, as that's Garrett Hall now making his way back onto the lead lap.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen here. We're checking back in with Jared Reed. You can see David Reed about 4/10 back, but I'm astounded how long they've stayed out here for. 52 laps on a tank of gas, and they're still charging forward here as we watch Nick Leo pick up a spot from Derek Grigsby's number 1. He's worked his way back up to 7th. Nick Leo, he came in a lap 44, so about midway, about halfway mark. But with a total pit stop time of about 45 to 50 seconds from the time you cross the first set of cones to the time you cross the exit cones here in Nashville, I think, in theory, if Jared Reed pits under green, he will be lucky to stay on the lead lap here.
Yeah, maybe Jared Reed was hoping for a caution, especially with these lap cars trying to overtake as well. He was maybe thinking that's a higher likelihood of a collision. However, we still have gone green the whole race so far. So I still can't believe they haven't run out of fuel, James.
I can't either. I mean, I didn't know how long they could go, but I guess we're going to find the limit as your top 3 drivers just refuse to yield, hammering out laps here. And I guess they do have the advantage. They will have, without doubt, the fastest tires after completing the pit stop, but will they have enough laps to do anything with it? You've got some drivers like Dominic DeLeo. We know he's fast in the 22 machine. He came in a lap 34. What are the chances we see that 22 maybe on a 2-stop strategy here tonight? He's only 2.3 seconds back from Jared Reed. Reed and Mathis haven't came down pit road yet. There's Dominic DeLeo kind of in the meat grinder there. But I wonder if he's going to have enough time to try a 2-stop strategy and still stay out front.
Yeah, these drivers obviously having 2 sets of tyres for this league. However, though, if you use that second set and go for the 2-stop, you won't have those fresh tyres in case something happens. But it looks like that was... Who was that? That was Robert Mathis Jr. getting hit.
Yes! So it looked like Mathis got tagged from behind. I'm wondering if he was trying to get set up for the pit stop, and maybe the driver behind him didn't see the hand out the virtual window, but... Oh, that was right as we're talking about cautions and how it's a little bit risky to take those 2. We almost had it willed into existence there as Mathis got a good hard shove from behind, and that's going to leave Jared Reed and David Reed, the lone 2 drivers out on track who have yet to come down pit road. And it looks like Matt Kleeman's coming in again as well in the number 19 machine, so he's on a 2-stop strategy as well. So I don't know, Finley. This is going to be wild to see how the pit strategy pays out.
Yeah, especially with Matt Kleeman as well, also choosing for that alternate strategy. Just makes you think maybe that might be a good option, because some drivers are going for it. It looks like our race leader, Jared Reed, is now going down pit road. He's calling it a day. Maybe he's run out of fuel, or maybe he's thinking he won't have enough laps left to use those tyre advantage that he will get from pitting this late on.
Yeah, David Reed follows him down pit road in 52, so that's going to make Dominic DeLeo your race leader in the number 22. Again, DeLeo's last time in pit road was on lap 34, a massively shorter run than just about everybody out on track. I think Aaron Sayer was one of the only other drivers that came in earlier. He came in a lap 31. Now, I don't know. I don't know. Are we going to see DeLeo come down pit road? Because we saw, what, 57 laps out of the Reed family? So I'm not terribly good at math, but I think DeLeo can make it to the end.
Yeah, DeLeo might be able to make it to the end, or he's trying to go for the 2-stop strategy. He did pit very early on, and now he may be starting to feel that tyre wear, so he's used that fresh advantage that he has, and now is when the tyre wear is starting to settle in. If he was going to go for the 2-stop strategy, now would be the time to pit. I think he'll be able to make it to the end.
I see a crash somewhere out on track. Robert Mathis. Oh, no caution. Mathis has a crash, takes a tow back to pit road.
I think
Now,
we can get
I
a
did a
replay on
little
that.
bit of napkin math here, and I think DeLeo can make it out to the end. He's going to have 11 laps go, but let's check out the wreckage rewind and see what happened to Robert Mathis. Does he loop it coming out of pit road?
I think he has.
Well,
Oh no, he just stops on pit exit.
so Mathis has something wrong, and I think he's put it back in the virtual hauler here as we go back live to Dominic DeLeo. So unfortunately, Robert Mathis out of the race. He's going to join the likes of Matt Kleeman, who is also retired. And we had Nick Vasquez with a did not start here tonight. So 3 good drivers not having the result they were looking for as we continue to watch Derek Grigsby trying to track down Carter Lenz. Grigsby on 3-lap newer tires than Lenz on that number 4. And it looks like they're gaining some ground on Kevin Haas as well.
Yeah, slowly but surely. If they don't fight and go side by side, they'll be able to catch back up to him and maybe freight train him and both get past in the same move. It depends how they want to play this out, however. How long are they willing to wait to get a position, as it looks like they will go too wide. Grigsby on the inside of Carter Lenz now going down the main straightaway across the line, going 19 to go.
Yeah, great racing all across the track here. Doesn't matter if it's for the lead or maybe a personal best inside the top 5. Everybody pushing deep here as we check back in on Steven Gibson. He's tracking down Tim Johnson, that 8th place spot. So we've covered it. We think your race leader, Dominic DeLeo, is going to be good to go by about 11 laps of extra fuel till the end. So I don't think at this point, 62, 63 laps in, I don't think we're going to see DeLeo go for a 2-stop strategy. I think he's just going to run it all the way out here.
Yeah, I think he's going to hang it out. He still has a 14-second gap to Nick Leo behind. Nick Leo with the fresher tyres because he did pit later on. However, DeLeo does have a 14-second gap, and that's pretty big.
Yeah, he's absolutely ripping it out here. There goes Steven Gibson getting his lap back against the 22 machine, or trying to at least. DeLeo's going to try and fight him a little bit. Jared Reed joining the fray as well in the number 5 machine. Reed's putting the pressure on Gibson. They want to get their lap back in case a caution comes out. And oh, that's not where the leader wants to be, is in the middle of a 3-wide situation. So Dominic DeLeo goes back high, allows Jared Reed to get back on the lead lap. And I think that Gibson here, Steven Gibson's going to try and follow suit if he gets the opportunity.
Yeah, however though, a point to note, he didn't lose that much time. Only a couple tenths of a second going through 3 wide there. So it seems like Dominic DeLeo is able to hold the pace for now. Whether or not he's looked after his tyres really well, he's able to use them. Or maybe Nick Leo hasn't started pushing on those tyres yet, we'll have to wait and see. As it looks like, as I say that, Nick Leo is starting to close that gap. 13.5 seconds it is now.
Yeah, I think this is going to be really interesting as well, and that shot gave us a great idea. That's how far back Jared Reed is from the race leader. I mean, the entire distance of the track, he's only got 3 or so cars ahead in front of Dominic DeLeo right now as far as spacing goes. So that's going to really show just how fast that Jared Reed is going to need to rip around the track here in Tennessee to try and make something happen. And DeLeo looks like he's trying to shorten the track up a little bit as well, tipping down the apron. Now Butch Taylor comes in for his 2nd stop of the night in the 33 Toyota Camry. And 14 laps left to go. Knock on wood, no caution. This has been a fantastic race from our competitors.
So far it's been brilliant. One of the first races to go green almost the full way. We'll see if we can make it the whole time. However, I don't want to put commentator's curse on it now that I've said it. It probably won't, but
100%.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, if we say it, it'll happen, whether we want it to or not.
Ooh.
As it looks like DeLeo has his hands full. That's the number 11 of Tim Johnson. Johnson tagging the outside wall. Gonna run it clean and green through here through 1 and 2. And yeah, this is where things get frantic for our competitors. Late in the race, there's no really more time left to make any massive lunges. And I don't know what's gonna happen. It looks like Jared Reed almost lapping 2 seconds faster per lap than Dominic DeLeo. As we pan back to David Reed. David Reed with a 31.07 last time by. Dominic DeLeo, your race leader, a 32.31. As we watch David Reed, Steven Gibson side by side. David was our hard charger earlier, still having a great night. Worked it back inside the top 10, up 5 spots. But I just don't think there's a lot of laps left for these guys to try and make big lunges if they have the time. I mean, they have the pace, but I don't think they have the time here.
No, 12 laps to go here at Nashville Superspeedway. Now is now is when desperation starts kicking for these drivers. Maybe now is the time they've got to push, and they have to make the move now. They have to make it within the next 11 laps. Well, they're not going to get it done at all. But it looks like, yeah, the gaps between our drivers are pretty big now. There aren't many drivers who win a second of each other as it stands at the moment.
Yeah, I think not a lot of time left for some of these fast guys. Dominic DeLeo, 1.2 seconds up over Greg Mitchell's number 2 machine. Who's that on the inside line? That's the 52 of David Reed getting a lap back. And David Reed's been fast, but he's got 10 laps left to go. I don't think he's going to be able to close a 32-second gap just that quickly. He would have to be lapping over 3 seconds a lap faster than Dominic DeLeo. And DeLeo has been very solid in the tire management here tonight. And I can't believe how well that strategy's working out for him. But I think he's got to be careful. Greg Mitchell running second, still hovering right around that 1 second mark in the last couple laps. In the last few corners, it looks like Greg Mitchell has been hinting at gaining a little bit of time lap after lap. As we've got a race on screen, that's going to be Carter Lynch, Jared Reed battling out for 6th.
Yeah, Jared Reed now using those tyres which he pitted so late for to make his move on Carter Lynch, making it up into number 6 spot. He's now got around about 2.7 seconds to Dale Grisby ahead. He does have the fresh tyres again, so he will be able to close, but will 9 laps be enough to also make the move? Because now, as it stands, Nick Cleo will take the lead of the Drivers' Championship in the number 69, as he is currently in 3rd place. And his nearest rival, well, obviously the person drawing with him, is all the way down and 6th at the moment.
Yeah, he's looking for a good point nights. But let's go back up front, Finley. The battle for the lead not yet decided. Dominic DeLeo may have company here. As here comes Greg Mitchell, 8 laps left to go. He's been gaining ground. Now 0.6 of a second back from Dominic DeLeo. Let's see what the times update to here, because last time, the lap prior, is about 0.4 to the advantage of Greg Mitchell. That time by, it looks like Dominic DeLeo has wicked up the pace slightly, maybe knowing that Mitchell closing the gap, but I mean, that was over a second gap, and now we're looking at about 0.6.
Yeah, the gaps between the drivers kind of fluctuating a little bit. DeLeo picking up the pace because he knows the only person who's going to really challenge him for this race as we carry on going green flag will be Mitchell. He is the only man that can stop him from winning today's race. However, they were going to pan back to Derek Grigsby, who's got Jared Reed closing in behind him. But also Kevin Haas in front, and P4 is also starting to go a little bit slowly. Grigsby is also catching up to him, but you've also got Jared Reed. So Jared Reed may be able to get a P4. It may be on the cards for him, depending how he plays his cards. I've said cards twice, that didn't sound very nice.
Yeah, and they're racing cars as well, not to be confused with cars here tonight. But hey, man, I'm pumped to be watching this great race. You got a few good races across the track. You've got Derek Grigsby, Kevin Haas within about a half second of each other. Jared Reed closing the gap, trying to work his way, salvage a bit of points. Dominic DeLeo still your race leader, but still the gap closing lap after lap as Greg Mitchell continues to charge forward. We check in on Jared Reed. He's got Haas and Grigsby right in front of him. And this could be an opportunity for Reed to make it a bit of a 2-for-1. I mean, he's got the freshest tires out on track. He's just got not enough laps to really do anything with it.
As you say that, though, he's now down the inside of Grigsby, and Haas is right in front of him. So it could be a P4 for him as he makes a move into P5 now. So he's just got the 3 of Haas in front of him to overtake. Now, probably be the highest he can make it, but he's only got 3 or 4 laps to do it, excuse me. So he's only got 4 laps to overtake Haas in front. So Haas is definitely going to be turning up the pace and using everything he has left in those good years to try and keep Jared Reed behind.
Yeah, this is going to be a little bit spicy. So Reed worked his way up into 5th around Grigsby. He's got his eyes set forward on Kevin Haas, and I think with 3 laps, I think Jared Reed's going to be good here to pick up a 4th and maybe salvage a couple more points if he gets the opportunity. I'm a little bit surprised that Dominic DeLeo has so much pressure up front as well. He's got a 0.3 advantage to Greg Mitchell. Now, with just a couple laps left, I wonder if Mitchell can get up there and maybe work that rear bumper of the 22 and try and make something happen. But 2 laps left to go here in Tennessee, and oh, we're looking good to maybe bring this thing home without a caution tonight, Finley.
Yeah, it looks like Jared Reed is down the inside of Haas, making that move up into P4. Now he's just got to hold it and not make any mistakes for the final 2 laps of the race, and he will be Gucci. But now we go back to our race leader, Dominic DeLeo. All the pressure is on him now. He has to hold Mitchell behind. He can't make any mistake or will be right on his bumper. To go onto the white flag now. Garrett Hall is in front of him. The lap traffic in the number 13. Will he play a factor here? Or we let the leaders go on by?
I don't think he will, Finley. Garrett Hall is such an experienced veteran here in sim racing. I think he knows what's going on, talking to his spotter, talking to the crew chief, and looking at the relatives going, all right, there's a battle for the lead going on right now. I'm not in it. Let's try and move this 13 up to the high line and let these 2 race. But even though he's doing a great job, Greg Mitchell trying to pick up the draft from the 13, but it's going to be a little bit too late, and the checkered is out.
Dominic DeLeo bringing home the winner, number 22 machine. Bringing home the bread. He'll definitely be happy with that one. They pan back though, Jared Reed coming home. Oh, he hasn't come home yet. He's still got 1 corner to go. But crucially, he's in P4. And Nick Leo coming home in that P3 position means he will take the lead of the Drivers' Championship. The defending champion, the number 69 car. Doing a great job here tonight, stretching out that gap. Jared Reed coming home in P4, and Kevin Haas coming home in P5.
And look at that, green flag from start to finish. We didn't even get to see the new damaged model, Finley. All the cars are looking great at the end of this.
Yeah, all the cars are looking pretty dandy. Didn't see a whole lot of contact, so unfortunately, didn't have as much fun in the broadcast booth, but I'm definitely happy he managed to go green flag the whole way. No one got raked out of the race. So now, as everyone's crossed the line, we can bring up our official standings. So Dominic DeLeo coming home for that win, followed by Greg Mitchell, Nick Leo, top 3. Jared Reed, P4. Kevin Haas, P5. Followed by Derek Grigsby, P6. Carter Lins, P7. David Reed, Garrett Hall, Tim Johnson, your top 10. Stephen Gibson, P11. Jake Vanosky, P12. Aaron Sayer, followed by Butch Taylor. Robert Mathis, Matt Clayman, and Nick Vasquez finishing out the results here tonight. Just get their drivers up into the booth here tonight to see what's been going on.
Yeah, looks like our first one up is going to be Nick Leo in the 69 Chevrolet. Nick, you got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
So, Nick Leo, obviously not a win, but you did manage to get the lead of that Drivers' Championship. Obviously, both of you going in to this race, 115 points apiece. So, kind of, what was the plan going into this in terms of the championship? Were you just trying to get ahead of him? Were you trying to maximise the amount of points, or was it just to finish in front of Jared?
Yeah, I was just trying to have a good points day. I had a few bad races so far this season, so I'll take a 3rd place. Kept the car clean, so can't really ask for much more.
So, I mean, Nick, it looks like good racing all the way around. How are you feeling with it being week 13? Nobody really had any preparation in what could have been a new car, new setups. I mean, were you at all worried that things were going to get a little bit more exciting with this update getting pushed out today?
I was kind of hoping so, to be honest with you. I was hoping to see the new damage model, but I don't think there was a single wreck tonight.
No, unfortunately we didn't. However, before we sign off, is anyone at home trying to cheer you on? Any sponsors, friends, family you'd like to shout out?
Just the usual, Jewel, as always, and Chevrolet, of course, for they brought a fast car tonight. And Jared and everybody at the Rubbins Racing crew, and Butt Kicker and Next Level Gaming, and you guys, like always, do a great job up there.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we appreciate all the feedback. But yeah, hopefully we'll see you next week.
Yeah, hopefully. Have a good one.
Right then, that was...
Go ahead.
That was Nick Leo, your 3rd spot. So now we're going to bring up the person who finished in 2nd place. Greg Mitchell here tonight. Top in quali, top in practice. You were looking really, really quick this race, and obviously getting so close to win with Dominic DeLeo at the end, just closing and closing that gap in the final moments of that race. What was going through your head?
Oh man, I thought I was gonna catch him. I really did. I just our tires seemed to even out there towards the end. I think I probably had about 10 laps fresher tires, and they just kind of got equal. I thought I was gonna get there, and I got as close as I could, and it just stalled. So I was going hard. That was all she had.
Well,
Yeah.
it looked like a lot of fun out there, Greg. Now, talking about tires, we saw DeLeo come in fairly early on the lap 34. How did you kind of establish your pit strategy for tonight? And is that something you stayed with throughout the duration of the race? Were you happy with it, or do you wish you maybe made some adjustments?
My goal was just to get to halfway. I saw him come early, and that usually can kind of trigger some other pit stops. I was watching to see how many other pitted, and I don't think there was very many. So I was kind of expecting a caution at some point too. So yeah, I probably should have pitted just a little bit early, but I also knew I was gonna have about 40 laps to track him down. So I don't know. I don't know if I could have made up any other ground differently or not. It might have evened out. It might have gave me a little advantage if I pitted 2 laps earlier. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, you were so close, but unfortunately you couldn't quite get him. But is there anyone cheering you on from home or friends or family you'd like to shout out before we sign off?
Yeah, thanks. Thank you to you guys, Goon Squad. You guys always do an awesome job, and Next Level and Butt Kicker for sponsoring the league. And shout out to my dad. He watches sometimes down in Texas.
Of course. Well, thank you very much, Greg, and hopefully we'll see you up here more often.
All right, thanks, guys.
Yeah. Right then, finally our race winner here tonight, Dominic DeLeo. Whoa, what a win there. Absolutely dominant pit strategy, gapping Nick Leo by 12 seconds. What was the plan going into this race? Did you have an idea when you were going to pit, or were you kind of going with the flow?
No, I mean, usually like to cut it in half, but I kind of realized early that me and Greg had most of the speed, and it was just going to be a battle between us if it went green. So, I was able to hold him off for a little bit, and then green flag dropped. I wanted to get out in front of him, get in clean air, and just kind of send it. I ended up chewing up the tires a little bit too much, hit the wall, and then I think it was like around lap 30, I hit the wall, and I was sticking with him for like 2-3 laps, and then he started gaining, pulling away a little bit, and then I was like, the only chance I have of getting out in front of him is if I short pit. So
Now,
paid off. So yeah.
I didn't mean to cut you off, Dominic. I mean, yeah, that was a gutsy call coming on lap 34. Why did you decide for the early pit stop instead of around the halfway or more closer to the halfway mark? I mean, were you happy with that decision coming in super early, or do you wish you could maybe stayed out a little bit longer?
No, I mean, I was just playing it all off of Greg. I mean, he was super fast today. If the race was probably 10, 15 more laps, he probably would have had me there. And I got caught in a little bit of lap traffic. I came out, I think I was like 13 seconds ahead of him. I was watching when he came out of the pits, so I thought I beat him on the pit stop, give myself a little bit more cushion, had about 5-6 laps of just flooring it. But it was all off of Greg. I mean, it was just a whole field race, gut call, and like I said, it paid off, and I'm happy.
Yeah, that was an absolutely brilliant race to watch. I definitely enjoyed that one. Is there anyone at home cheering you on? Is there any friends, family, sponsor like to shout out before we sign off?
Yeah, I'd like to thank my wife first and foremost. I'd like to thank Magyar Bank, our sponsor here at Fazekas Motorsports. I'd like to thank Rubbins Racin. I'd like to thank Butt Kicker, the main sponsor, Next Level Racing. You guys in the booth, Team Goon Squad, and everybody at Rubbins Racing, Jared, Steven, David, all putting on this league. It's a lot of fun, and finally happy to get one this season. After last week, I was a little bit of an anger driver coming in today, so I'm happy to to get it done and just kind of relax for the rest of the way, and hopefully eat into Nick's points lead.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was a brilliant race and exactly what you would have wanted. So, yeah, I hope to see you again next week.
Thanks, Finley. Thanks, James. Have a good night.
You as well,
night.
sir.
Those were your top three here tonight. What? Just reflecting on that race, James, going green the whole way through. Not something we expected going in. I did call it maybe we might get a green flag all the way through, but it's something I haven't seen in league racing in a long time.
Yeah, gotta love it. Everybody out there having a good time, good friends, and bringing home some great results, especially for Dominic DeLeo. Absolutely pumped for the 22 machine, put it on the top spot, and really just excited and proud of all these drivers. You couldn't have asked for a better race to call, and just great, clean racing all the way around with good friends on a Tuesday night.
Yeah, it couldn't have gone any smoother. Yeah, signing off. This is Team Green Squad. My name's Benny Fitzsimmons, accompanied by James East in the commentary booth, and we'll see you next week for the Rubbins Racing Next Gen Series at, or not, Phoenix, excuse me, that's the old. We'll join you at Bristol Dirt next week on June the 14th, and yeah, I'll see you next time.